So Nate, I'll give you a 5 when you have 5 seconds left.
Gotcha.
A little behind the scenes. I'm gonna go next.
Everyone except the TikTok viewers will see.
Oh yeah, dude, they're not clicking the link. What are you kidding me? If these get more than 300 views, we're doing them again. If they don't,
well, then I guess we're safe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Rum and Cinema. Today we will be looking at The Iron Claw, now available on digital. Holy dude, Iron Sheik fan over here. Jesus. Now available on digital to rent or purchase. I don't think it's rent yet. You can find us on youtube.com/@rumandcinema. Subscribe to keep up to date with our newest episodes as we release them. And you can also check us out on TikTok @rumandcinema for all our movie short takes. Today I'm joined by my guests, Nate and Jake. Nate, how are you?
I had to buy this movie, so.
I mean, yeah. Is that okay?
It's fine.
You didn't like it?
I was not a big fan, no.
Oh my god!
All right, tell me. Did you like wrestling?
I love
like
wrestling.
as a kid.
I love wrestling.
All right, well that's the difference maker.
Oh no.
All right.
Oh no.
We'll leave it there.
Jake, did you like wrestling as a kid?
I never cared for wrestling.
And did you like this movie?
I did like this movie.
All right, if so facto, Nate.
All right, so we're all over the place.
If so facto. Done.
Yeah, I feel like we're right back in our wheelhouse then of terribly depressing movies that Nate didn't like and everyone else did.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Ben picks a sad movie made by an indie distributor. Jake likes it, Ben likes it, and Nate thinks the world's gonna end anyway, so who cares?
Let's be real though. How many movies have we done?
Nate tries to remind you that there are fun indie movies too.
Like what? Name 2.
Poor Things.
Haven't seen it.
Everything Everywhere.
Okay, that one is. I'll give you that. So yeah, that's
the one we're gonna watch next time.
Well, I don't know if are we gonna watch that one next?
If you
I thought next was Dune 2.
No,
the
Dunning. Dunning.
I'm not gonna lie, I've only heard amazing things about Dune 2.
Yeah, me too. But I'm not gonna see it in theaters. I don't think.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
That's a poor choice.
Whatever.
I don't even want to see it. I'm going to see it in theaters.
I have an 80-inch OLED and surround sound with Atmos. Why do I need to leave my house?
I have an 80-inch OLED. I'm just going to get the Dune Microsoft Flight Simulator package and fly around Arrakis. That's a thing, by the way.
I know, I have it.
Oh my god. It's like, yeah, I bet
just strap on the Apple Vision Pro and just fly around.
I returned that. Thank you. But yeah, I could have. I have a Meta.
Wow, I can't believe you admitted that.
I know. I have a Vision. I have a Quest 2 that I still don't use.
Actually, saying you returned it, that puts you on like the high ground of everybody. You can flex that you had one. You can flex that you didn't like it. You can, that wins any argument.
I'm the ultimate Apple person now. I returned a Vision Pro. You're goddamn right, I did.
It just wasn't for me.
Yeah, just not immersive enough for me.
Traded in for a color.
The Apple car. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm pumped to talk about this movie. And yeah, I guess that's about it. This movie's a real downer.
It had downer elements. I'll give you that.
I think
all of it was a downer.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think from about 3 minutes in, it starts going, and it just accelerates as it goes.
Yeah. If 9/11 was a movie, Did you cry?
9/11 tragedy struck twice. This was at least double that.
Did you cry during this movie? I teared up.
I did.
Yeah, the boat scene got me real hard. That was rough. Yeah. First off, though, we're gonna do a new segment called TikTok Takes.
Oh, come right into it.
I am a
hard
content loser, and we're gonna do TikTok Takes. What this is I'm gonna give each one of us a take. We have 60 seconds to give our take on what we think the answer is. So just stare right into the camera.
Unbalanced that you didn't let us come up with a take for you.
No.
To give.
No, I wrote 3 down. 5 minutes ago, and they're now what we're gonna do. So just stare at camera. It's all on you. You got this. Jake, we're gonna let you go first.
Sounds good.
Jake, the question is, where should Star Wars have stopped?
Star Wars. Here's the thing: Star Wars will never stop. It's too big, right? Because from the movies, there's books which are huge. There's games, and nerds just love the fact that Star Wars has permeated through every kind of media and culture. I think the problem is that the movies have just gotten worse. I think most people would probably agree that each trilogy has gotten a little bit worse. I don't think that means that they should stop, because I don't think they should let Star Wars die. But it's tricky to say. I don't know. I don't think that they should have stopped. They've clearly gotten worse as they've gone along, but as a franchise, it needs to continue. I think the TV show has been a great direction. Maybe just pivot hard into that.
Okay. All right. Pivot into TV. Love it. That was perfect. That was like 55 seconds. Thank you.
That's what I strive for.
I was going to give you like a 30, and I was like, he's just going to stop and be like, what are you doing? So Nate, I'll give you a 5 when you have 5 seconds left.
Gotcha.
A little behind the scenes. I'm gonna go next.
And everyone except the TikTok viewers will see.
Oh yeah, dude, they're not clicking the link. What are you kidding me? If these get more than 300 views, we're doing them again. If they don't,
well, then I guess we're safe.
My take is, what movie should be remade? All right, the movie I want to see remade is The Wizard of Oz. I think that the appetite is there for a remake. I know it's like a classic, like the pointed to classic that is on every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every holiday. It's on TNT for 24 hours. We can do better. I want to see a re-adaptation of the book that is more true to the book, because I think the book has really cool stuff in it that we don't even get to. And I want to see a cast of today's talent do something with that, and the VFX could be really cool. Focusing on like real life props, not CGI, I think would be awesome for that too. And I just like casting the Wizard of Oz. That's always like a fun game I play, and I think it would be interesting to see that happen today. So I want to see the Wizard of Oz remade. Where'd I get? It's like a minute. Hell yeah.
55 seconds.
Would you want
Counter
a cast of contemporary stars, or a cast of relatively unknowns?
Stars.
Because weren't they relatively unknowns?
I think so. I think Judy Garland was fairly unknown at the time. I want stars. Judy Garland was probably the only one that was known. I want stars. I want an ensemble cast. I want, like, you ain't messing around. This is it. This is
Oscar bait level cast.
Yeah. Give me Leo. No, I don't want Leo. Give me Chalamet. No, I don't want Chalamet. Give me Miley.
Leo is the lion.
No, God. How old are you?
I feel like
how old are you?
Counterpoint to everything you've said is the most recent remake of The Wizard of Oz, the marvelous whatever James Franco one.
Let's not worry about that. That was an extension of The Wizard of Oz, I would say, not a remake. It was a prequel, wasn't it?
I haven't seen it, so I don't know what it's about.
Me neither. I think it's a prequel. I think it's about how Oz got there. But
fair enough. That sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds.
Those
you got there through the wardrobe.
Greta Gerwig's doing that. She's doing the Narnia books.
Did we do those yet? Is there movies?
Yeah,
I feel like I can picture Aslan.
Yeah, there are movies.
No, The Golden Compass is a different set of books.
Wait, what?
But both heavily Christian.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I remember the Christian books.
That's important.
Yeah. Isn't Narnia part of those book series? The Golden Compass?
No.
Oh.
The Golden Compass.
I've never read either, and I'm sure.
I have read The Golden Compass.
Oh. Was it good?
It was good.
I'm not knocking it. I've just never read it.
Better or worse than the Bible?
I mean, better. Here's what bugged me about The Golden Compass. And this is spoilers for the whole thing.
Okay.
so they have this aspect of it where there's like different worlds, and then you can like open paths into different worlds and all this.
Sure. Marvel Universe, if you will, a multiverse.
And turns out this causes issues, right? Okay, we can't have portals between worlds because it breaks everything. So they have to go around closing them.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end,
the Spider-Verse so far, love it.
They have like
Witcher 3.
They have like this big love story between two characters, and they're from different worlds.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, there's this like angel that's like, okay, everything's fine now, but I'm gonna have to go around and close all these portals.
Okay.
And so those two are like, there's this really tearful scene, and they're like, no, because the angel's like, we can only leave one portal open, and there's just like one portal that they have to leave open to like, I don't know, it's weird.
It's a trash portal.
But it can't be their portal. They're making the choice to save all these other people instead of leaving a portal between their worlds.
And I'm like, go back to their world, does something bad happen?
Yes, okay. They can't stay in a different world for too long.
It is Spider-Verse.
So I mean, Spider-Verse is well after the Golden Compass, for the record.
Not in my brain.
But it just bugged me so much because I'm like, you have this celestial being, and she's saying, okay, we have to close all the portals but one. And I'm like, you should be able to leave two portals open for the span of a human lifetime and then close it after they die.
What if
she's got angel shit to do?
Yeah. She's got to go impregnate virgins. In all these other worlds that haven't had that. What if they
have a quota.
I think I'd rather see the movie where she mercy kills one of them. And she's like, all right, now you haven't lost anything. We can bury her here. I don't care. You can bury whatever world you want. Nate, your TikTok take.
Yeah.
We had a bonus take there with the Golden Compass. That's going to go in. That's great.
That's
Nate,
like 4 TikToks. I don't know.
It's a playlist. We're getting views on this. Views on views on views. Nate, yours is, what Marvel movie should have been a series?
Yeah, it's a problem. It's like
aspirated sigh.
It's exhausting. I don't think Marvel has made a good show. So,
oh my god,
I don't.
WandaVision?
It's true. Name it.
WandaVision.
Okay, that's a great one. It wasn't good at the end. It wasn't good by the end.
Sure.
And it didn't make any sense to the movie. Damn it. Go with. Okay. All the ones that were connected to the MCU in a direct way. I'm not good at short takes.
Oh, no.
The answer is the Eternals. That might have had a chance as a series and not as a movie. But in general, I think they still would have fucked it up.
I can't think of a single Eternal still. I saw the movie.
No, Gianni. Julian Jolie.
It's always Kumail. I just realized that.
That's it.
I like it. Behind the scenes here, I may have had triple audio going for everybody but me, so we'll see how messed up it sounds on the audio.
Oh, cool.
Anywho,
as long as it's not my fault.
No, it's still mine. Thanks for
always has been.
Thanks for the TikTok takes. Appreciate it. If you want to follow us on TikTok, we're at Rum and Cinema.
So annoyed. I googled Marvel shows and scrolled through the first 2 pages, and neither of what you guys said came up. And I was like, I fucking hate all those.
Well, it's funny because the 2 that we cited are probably 2 of the least popular ones.
Yeah, because
and the earliest ones, where they were trying shit, and then everyone hated it, and they're like, okay, well, we'll just make Marvel movies into TV shows, and they all suck.
What If is a good idea. I started reading I read the Books of Doom. That was a pretty good series, but I'm gonna start reading What If. Yeah.
What is the Books of Doom? Something separate than the
like Doctor
Doom? Okay.
Oh,
okay.
I
was like, God damn, you read Dune?
No,
because that's a lot.
I still haven't finished a real book this year. I'm working on it. I got like 2 hours left according to my Kindle, and it's just I didn't pick a good one.
Do you remember when I was going crazy about the Silo books, and I read the first Silo book in like 2 days, and then I read half of Silo book 2, and I have I don't know.
You're out?
Oh, not looking good for the show.
I'm not out. It's just Silo Book 2. Just it hops to it on a different part of the timeline,
Right.
and I really want to know what happens to the characters and events of Silo Book 1, and I don't care about this other stuff.
Can you skip ahead to where the other people come back, like book 3 or whatever?
I could, but I bet I don't know. I'm sunk cost now. I'm 56% through the book.
Are you a completionist?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Also, that goes for TV shows too.
No.
just start on season 3.
Actually
no,
not.
Season 1, episode 1,
Yep.
beginning to end.
That's right. I agree with that one, actually, TV shows. So the movie I chose, is The Iron Claw. It is a movie that came out in 2023, runtime of 2 hours, 12 minutes. It stars Zac Efron.
Killed it, by the way.
So good and so big. Good Lord.
Oh my God.
So The Iron Claw is the tragic story of the Von Erich family in wrestling, starring Zac Efron of High School Musical, Jeremy Allen White from The Bear, Harris Dickinson from Triangle of Sadness and Murder at the End of the World, and Lily James from Baby Driver, Pam and Tommy, and Downton Abbey. It was written and directed.
That's where I knew her from.
Yeah, Baby Driver, big one. Or Pam Anderson in Pam and Tommy. It was written and directed by Sean Durkin, who has done some work, but nothing I recognized. So I moved on. But yeah, I really like this movie. I think The Iron Claw did a great job of showing this story that should have been told. It did. I watched a 45-minute documentary about them after the movie, and they did change a lot of stuff. Not to the point where it was like not the same story, but it was definitely, it would have been 4 hours long if they did the whole story.
I feel like they didn't so much change stuff as they left stuff out.
Yeah, like a whole brother. They left Chris out of the whole movie. There's another brother, other than Jack.
And then like because they only show the one wedding with they only show like Kevin and his wife and family, but their other ones were married too.
Yep. And the thing that happens to Carrie is kept a secret for much longer than we all think. But we'll get to that. I think The Iron Claw was a really well done movie. I think visually it was incredible. I loved the shots that they did. I thought the writing was solid. I thought the acting was really good. Jeremy Allen White and Zac Efron carried this movie so much. I mean, all the acting was good, but those two were like the pillars. I love the soundtrack. The songs they chose were so of the time and like put you in the moment, and it was really good. And yeah, but it was a sad story, but it has kind of like an uplifting enough ending where you're kind of left hopeful, I think, or at least thinking the way that Kevin Von Erich thinks today about his family. So yeah, that was really cool. I like that. Let's get into the plot, unless you all want to do a little blurb.
I don't think so. I think you about nailed it, and then anything that I have will come up as we go through.
Heck yeah.
Also, shout outs. Speaking of a grand return to form, shout outs to the detailed plot notes.
Yeah. Didn't even ChatGPT in this time. Hell yeah. I usually go to ChatGPT and Wikipedia, and I put the Wikipedia plot into ChatGPT and I say, make this 20 bullet points, and then just paste it. But I was like, you know what? I've seen this movie recently enough. It's fine. All right. So Fritz Von Erich, who in real life was a wrestler, as he is in the movie, obviously, because it's about his life. But some of the complaints about the movie were he was much less of a dick in real life to his family. Like, his family stands by him as being like pretty good dude. But I think for the story and like the narrative that they're trying to tell, it made sense to make him like the toxic masculine father. Because I think that was a big theme of this movie, is like the way that masculinity is taught and carried on through generations, and like what it means to be a man, and like how do you do that, and living through your kid's shoes, you know, like he was definitely doing some of that, which was good. He picked the name Fritz Von Erich because he wanted to be the biggest villain he could in the 1950s, and he chose to be a German post World War II as Fritz Von Erich, and he got a lot of heat in wrestling terms. So there's a couple wrestling terms we're going to talk about. Heel and face means bad guy, good guy. Kayfabe means like you keep up the act that your character is who you really are. Heat is like negative or positive affirmation from the crowd, usually negative. Just so people are understanding. I'm a big wrestling fan, have been my whole life. Nate and Jake, not so much, but didn't stop Jake from liking the movie.
That's because I appreciate good art.
Damn. Nate getting slammed already. We're in for it. So, quick pause. Nate, did you want to blur your background or no? I can't remember. I haven't shown you on full yet. Okay, cool. I just remember you saying it and I saw it wasn't. I was like, oh, did you mean to?
Well, he undid it to see his light. And then he's like, I got to flex these games.
Yeah.
It's important.
I just want to make sure before I full screened you too much. Okay. So we start in...
I just won't talk much.
You're going to talk so much, dude. You have so much to say. I can tell.
As soon as we start saying good things about this movie.
Might as well call you the first song off of the Crash album for Dave Matthews Band. So much to say.
And speaking of heels, Nate.
Sweet ref, bro.
Damn. Jake, are you popping bubbles or something?
No. Oh, I'm shaking my leg like always.
Oh, okay. I just hear some clapping or clicking, and I was like,
Louder
it better not be
than
Nate.
always.
It better not be Nate. Okay, never mind. We're good. If it's not Nate, you can keep doing it. Yeah.
Oh, is it that?
That, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's my knuckles.
You can crack them over and over?
Yes.
Whoa.
But if I do them like to the side, like
oh, that's so weird. Like more
and
air goes in.
There's about like 4-second pause, and then I can just do it again.
That's sick.
So I can literally do like
You're basically a monster.
these 4, and then the other 4, and then go back to the first.
Oh my god! All right, that's sick. But yeah, we can hear it.
I'll try to refrain.
All right, cool. Editor Ben, we're back. So this movie starts off with Fritz von Erich and 4 of his sons, which again, kind of a departure from real life. In real life, Fritz von Erich had Jack, who died at the age of 6 in a horrific accident. He was oh my god, the thumbs up thing just came up.
I thought you just had a ghost.
Yeah, no.
With the blur.
Yeah, it's a ghost.
I thought you were just thumbs upping the tragic story of a child's electrocution.
Yeah, so they lived in a trailer home most of their lives, and it was winter, and the kid, Jack, 6-year-old at the time, stepped on the trailer, and it somehow electrocuted him, and then he fell into the snow and drowned. Like, he fell into a pile of snow.
Jesus.
Yeah, so that's how their first kid died. So the Von Erich family the movie's about the Von Erich curse and like what happens to his family, and it is horrific what happens. But they leave out that information, which I think is, probably okay. They also leave out Chris Von Erich, who is another brother. He was much shorter than the rest. Like these Von Erich kids were like 6'7", 250 in real life. Like they're massive. And Chris Von Erich was not. He was like 5'10", pretty normal looking guy.
He was 5'4".
Oh shit, he was way smaller. Okay, good.
He was, so I think like physically there was, because he was 5'4", in a family of giants.
Yeah.
And is very brittle bones.
That was it. Yeah, he had asthma and brittle bones from the medicine for asthma. Yeah. You're right. And he tried to wrestle still, and it didn't go well. And he ended up more like Carrie did in the movie. He killed himself. And Kevin got a call from him that he was thinking about it, and Kevin was like, "Nah, man, you're fine. Like, don't do that. Let's talk in the morning." And then he killed himself at like the top of a hill or something. So that was Chris Von Erich. Those are the 2 that aren't mentioned in the movie. Well, Jack is, but Chris isn't at all. So I don't.
Yeah,
might have been a family decision. Again, could be just that the movie would have been 3.5 hours instead of 2. And I thought the runtime was perfect for this. It moved.
That's the other thing. So I didn't look this up. How much say did Kevin have in the script of this movie?
Great question. I will look into that as we go through this. Because it feels like he had a good amount, right? Like his family looked pretty well portrayed, and
that's what I think. Like with the exception of the dad.
Yeah.
But he also just kind of looks like a product of his time.
Yeah, exactly. Like you wouldn't have thought anything bad of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
especially by today's standards, you'd think, okay, this guy's an asshole and he's abusive and all this. But for the fact that he was an old man and what was this, the 70s, the 80s?
Yeah, early 70s, late 70s, early 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that he was an old man then, like, that's probably just how the vast majority of them were.
100%.
I mean, tough's tough, but do you tell your sons that you're ranking them at all times?
Yeah, that's a bit hardcore. That was a good intro to the movie. A really good way to show us who he is, like, immediately. I did look it up. It looks like the only quibble that Kevin had with the movie is the portrayal of his dad. He was like, he's not like that. So that's good to find out. But again, narratively, I get it. It makes sense. That's a saying for a bad guy in the movie. You can't have them all, but just be good guys that start dying. Like that would be a somehow more depressing movie. So
How cool too is they're going to make a movie out of your family. Who's going to be playing me? Zac Efron. All right.
Yeah. Not only Zac Efron, but like Bane level jacked up Zac Efron. Like, just yoked.
All right. We were trying to look like during. Did he use prosthetics? How did he get his face so square?
I think he used steroids or some form of
Jesus.
Allegedly, some form of helper.
And I think that's pretty. I think for all of those big time actors that get huge for movies, they're almost certainly using steroids.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
I mean,
like,
jacked is one thing, but I didn't realize that made your face bigger. Like he looks insane.
Yeah, I don't know how he got there, to be honest. That was a lot.
Oh, just like how much more square his jaw is.
Yeah.
In that movie compared to,
like, I didn't think you could change your skull shape.
Well, I mean, his jaw's pretty
and it was like
squared and like
real some scenes he looked like Zac Efron, and some scenes he looked like Lou Ferrigno.
Well, I mean, Lou Ferrigno's big, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the movie starts off with Kevin, David, Carrie, and Mike. Those are the main four brothers that we're going to meet through this movie. Fritz von Erich, the dad, and the wife Doris. They'll live in this like compound in Texas and have a nice idyllic, 80s life. They're all living together still as adults, and that kind of plays into like some of the immaturity and young, I'd say naivete of the children. I think especially Kevin seems to be a little naive in this movie. But Kevin and David are the ones holding the family mantle of wrestling, and Carrie is an Olympic discus thrower, and Mike is a musician and kind of the black sheep of the family as far as wrestling goes. He's not as big as the rest. So I think they kind of put Mike and Chris kind of as one person somewhat from that sense. Not that he was like, 5'4" and asthmatic, but he was the one that didn't want to wrestle. But the way that Mike died is the same in real life as the movie. So Kevin is the heavyweight Texas champ and meets a woman named Pam. He tells Pam about the Von Erich curse that killed his first older brother, Jack Jr., as a child. That's the
I'm pretty sure in the film all they say is that he died in an accident at a young age.
Yeah.
Just kind of left it at that.
Yeah, I think that early in the movie.
Weird if the diner if he'd gone into detail.
Yeah, just sitting. How are the grits? My brother died drowning in the snow pile. Yeah, there was enough tragedy. I think that early in the movie, it would have turned a lot of people off. They were like, 6-year-old death. There you go. Like, that's a good choice, I think. The curse stems from Fritz changing his last name from Atkinson to his mother's, whose family suffered constant tragedy. I didn't look up if that's true, if his mom was a Von Erich, but I'll go with it. Kevin wins a non-title match against NWA World Heavyweight Champ Harley Race by disqualification. He sets himself up for a rematch for the title. However, David steps in to cut a real good promo against Harley, excuse me. And Fritz is disappointed that Kevin did get up off the concrete fast enough after taking a vertical suplex to the ground. But he did like that David jumped in and cut a promo. So you can already see kind of the sibling rivalry that is only in place because of Fritz in this movie. The siblings are like the closest family I've ever seen in my life. And then Fritz comes in and goes, nah, let's rank you. Let's make you pit you against each other, Battle
And
the fittest.
I think from early on, we hear from Kevin that he, you know, he loves the wrestling and everything, and he wants to be the world heavyweight champion, but he loves doing it with his brothers, and he loves his family, and especially his brothers. Like, that's what he truly loves about wrestling. I think his goals and aspirations to be the champ, I think was instilled into him by his dad.
Mm-hmm.
I think he mostly just, at least how they show it in this movie, I think he's mostly just motivated by, he just wants to be with his family and his brothers.
Yeah, the way I saw.
And then
go ahead.
I was gonna say too, a couple times early on, they kind of show Kevin's not the greatest speaker, and so it was pretty natural when his brother came in, took the mic, and cut the promo, because his brother was much more just naturally gifted at it.
Yeah.
But you know, and it does sort of set up that rivalry. Well, I wouldn't even call it a rivalry between them. I don't know what I'd call it, but there's definitely some sort of friction there.
Yeah.
Because even though they're brothers and they're working together, they're also competing against each other because there can only be one champion in wrestling.
Darn right. World heavyweight. The documentary I watched.
There's only one measure of a man.
What's that from?
I don't know.
Oh, that was
life
good.
experience.
That was a good promo. The documentary I watched said that Kevin was the most athletically gifted, which I think they show based on like his buff physique and everything. And David was the most like in talent, in ring, all put it all together type of guy. Like, he had the promo skills, he had the wrestling skills, everything like that. And Kerry was the technician, which in wrestling terms just means like you put together the moves in the most like smooth looking way possible, and you can like get out of holds and all that stuff the best.
One thing that I had read was that Kerry was by far the most successful.
Yeah.
Of the Von Erich brothers, Kerry was, you know, the most popular, the most famous, the richest. Like, he was far more successful than the others,
as far as
which this movie does not show at all.
Nationally, I would agree. Yeah, because he got to the WWF, which is big. I mean, it's the number one wrestling still to this day.
Yeah. You know, yeah, I suppose you know, that in this movie we're seeing it from their point of view of their town in Texas.
Yep. And they actually underplayed their popularity. When David died, they had a funeral and 5,000 people showed up to the funeral. Like, they had to put people outside, they had to put a screen up outside so people could watch. And the match between Kevin and Ric Flair at the end had it was the largest wrestling event in history at the time. It had like 42,000 people there in Dallas Stadium or wherever it was. So like, they were massive at the time. I would agree Kerry went on to do the most outside of the NWA. But at the time, so like, wrestling was weird at the time. It was all like localized. So it'd be like the Great Lakes region would have their own, the South would have their own, Northeast would have their own, Southeast would have their own. Nate's loving this. And they all came together and were purchased by Vince McMahon. Some of them not as Vince McMahon's dad and Vince McMahon. Some of them weren't as happy about it as
willing.
Others. Yeah. And we saw at the end of this movie, the WCCW, which was owned by the Von Erichs, was purchased by Jarrett, whose son is the famous wrestler Jeff Jarrett, who went on to make like NWA and a couple others. But anyway, there's a little wrestling history that might help fill in some of the blanks. Nate, how you feeling? You awake over there? Doing good?
I'm learning lots.
Nate's the only one here who actually has wrestled, like real wrestled before. And I think that's why he doesn't like this movie as much, because it.
Okay, you say real wrestled, but he was wearing a onesie. Real wrestling is all nude.
There's no chip on my shoulder. I find them both equally boring.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair point.
So I'm in like a lot of nerd circles of like fighting game players, and then also like weebs. And I find that there's a huge like cross section of like weebs and fighting game players that love wrestling.
Hell yeah.
Like this kind of wrestling.
Yeah.
And I think they love it for like the spectacle of it and the storylines.
Yes.
which is funny because I could never get into wrestling. I think I would hate it because I think I would get invested in the storylines,
Mhm.
and then I'd be mad if they,
Oh.
if the guy you support doesn't win.
It sucks.
It sucks, and it sucks. It sucks when it's like a sporting event
Mm-hmm.
and your team doesn't win, but then your team didn't win because the other team played better or for whatever
Right.
reason.
It's merit based.
But
yeah.
yeah, so in this, if you were a huge fan of somebody and they lost, I would just be unconsolable because they lost because somebody decided that the other guy should win.
Yep.
Here's my issue with this movie specifically. I can never get into wrestling, but I don't grudge wrestling fans their enjoyment of it, and I understand that it's like fun when you get into it. What I don't understand is watching this movie. They acknowledge what's happening, that like it's a talent thing. It's not like a sporting competition where you're trying to win, and yet drama is supposed to happen in the movie. They're like, if you go out there and win, and I'm like, what? We already decided who won. There is tension in this movie where they're like, you got to go out there and give it your all, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
So
they look tense, while they're fighting.
I would push back on that.
Like, what is happening?
Because there is, like, especially in this time, you had to prove to the other promoters that you were worth putting on their show.
Yeah, but it was during the match that they were like, he's the very first fight he has, he's like, they're going through it, and the dad is off to the side, like nervous about him winning, not just performing well. Like, it's, I don't know.
So you also have to think that anytime that you are in front of the audience, this is where kayfabe comes in. Anytime you're in front of the audience, this is 100% not scripted. This is a sporting event. So you have to act like everything is the most tense. You don't know what's going to happen. This, like, it's a facade, right? They're acting.
Not if you're, but it's not the people in the ring. It's the dad watching from, like,
as a
from
manager.
The background.
Sure. I think that might be more like nervous energy because he wants to be in there, right? He wants to be the one doing this.
But there's so many, like, they're literally like, you could go out there and beat him, and I'm like, well, ahead of time if you win or not. Like, there are comments in the beginning where I'm like, they're talking like they're competing.
Sure.
It was very confusing.
I mean, there could be an element of kayfabe they're putting into this movie, which I do agree that part was weird, knowing what we know about wrestling.
Right. Yeah. No, that's what threw me. For
sure. And I think that they had an interesting way of explaining that, because Pam brings it up, isn't this fake? And she, they had that conversation about being predetermined but not fake, which is, true. They're taking the bumps, they're putting their lives on the line, honestly, in someone else's hand. If you're going to do a move, you got to make sure they do it right. But I do also think that there's like this element of, you have to perform. Like Jake was saying, your favorite wrestler doesn't perform, doesn't win the championship, you feel bad. Yeah. But there's also part of you that knows that the thing that makes them marketable is how much people like them. So it's almost like a popularity contest as well as a show of like how athletic you can be in the ring.
Yeah, like if you can, the better show that you put on, then the more that the promoters will say, okay, you can win this fight, because it's better for the sport if somebody who's really popular, really skilled at, and a good showman, it's better for them if that person wins and moves higher up.
Exactly. Really popular or really hated, either one. Like, both sides can be that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, because at some of the points in the movie, I know exactly what Nate's talking about, but some of those points in the movie, I'm like, okay, he's, the nerd, like the dad especially, like, he's nervous because he wants them to perform well. It's not a matter of them winning or losing. But then, so sometimes I felt like that, and then other times I did feel like, no, he's like worried about them winning or losing, and so like a couple times it did strike me as odd, because I'm like, I don't know about this,
Yeah, that part is a problem.
It was so weird. It was an interesting insight, like when they're talking about it and saying, like, they're explaining, like like I liked his description of the belt when Pam was asking about that and saying like it's like a promotion like for doing well, and like it is still really competitive, and it's really like, you know, they got to do their best. Like all makes sense, and don't grudge him any of it. I'm mad at this movie for extracting extra drama out of it for like being it was like you can't have both.
That's
to
fair.
me.
That's fair. But I mean, for me
And
as a viewer, I want to watch it like I'm watching a wrestling match, right? Like as
well,
I'm a
that's what I
fan.
mean. They're having their cake and eating it too in that way.
I don't want to go in with
that's
like,
where
Ric Flair's gonna win. Okay, well, why do I even watch the next 10 minutes? You know.
That's how I felt, except I just was like, well, why am I watching this?
That's fair. That's fair. I think
like we're watching a match and they're like, oh, and I'm like, anyone? What's going on?
I think
like
my like training as a wrestling fan trained me to see this as a wrestling match, and that's why none of it stood out to me as like odd. I think that may be the difference of someone who likes wrestling going into this and not, or watched it, you know, enough beforehand.
Well, and I'd say it's better for the viewer, because I don't think in any of the matches in this movie, you know, even though it was predetermined, I don't think we as an audience knew who was going to win.
Right.
And so it would have given it away had the dad like been super chill, you know. So I think part of that is just to feed into the whole, okay, the audience doesn't know who's going to win for our sake of the drama. And then they don't want to give it away.
Our once again sassy answer to Nate is it's a movie.
But it's like the guy hates movies.
I know. What's drama? So Kerry's Olympic hopes are taken away when the U.S. refuses to take place in the Summer Games in Russia. When he returns to home, his dad tells him to become a wrestler. And he does. In 1983, Kevin, Kerry, and David become the six-man tag champions, and Fritz volunteers David over Kevin to fight for the heavyweight championship against Ric Flair. Side note, I thought whoever did Ric Flair did not do a great job as a fan of wrestling and like knowing Ric Flair's speaking. It just felt weird. Like he had some of the mannerisms, but not a lot. And I don't know, you know, how much acting props the guy has, if he was hired because he's a wrestler, because I don't know anything about that. But I just thought his portrayal of Ric Flair was...
I mean, if he's a wrestler, shouldn't he have acting props?
Some more than others. But Ric Flair's like the most charismatic, bombastic dude, and I didn't get that out of this one.
You know, I don't know who Ric Flair is. I feel like I've heard the name. I feel like he's right on the fringe of... I was like, he was the only name of like the famous wrestlers that I recognized. Was Ric Flair. And then when I saw him like with a long blonde, like I was like, oh, okay, I know this guy, I think. Yeah. But I thought he was cool, but I don't think I've ever seen the real Ric Flair speak.
Sure. Yeah, that would change it, I think. Kevin and Pam get married, and we see that David is ill. And this is another kind of, you know, from the truth. He did vomit blood before he left for Japan, but not in front of people. There was some talk about maybe a drug overdose, and that the person who found him in Japan hid the drugs before the drug overdose, but the family stands behind saying it was enteritis, which is where your intestines rupture and you slowly bleed out from the inside until your heart stops. So that sounds terrible.
Great.
Yeah, that's what David died of. So David goes to Japan to wrestle and dies of enteritis while in Japan. Both Kevin and Kerry want to wrestle in his place to fight Ric Flair for the championship, and a coin flip decides it will be Kerry. Kerry then goes on to wrestle Ric Flair, and he beats him. We see back at the house afterwards, Kerry is not that happy, and he rides his motorcycle, and then he gets into an accident where we see his foot has to get amputated, which is true. That is actually what happened. So, yeah, that's wild. The part that they didn't hit on is that Kerry and the family kept that a secret for about 5 or 6 years. So he wrestled in the WWE without them knowing that he was missing a foot because he didn't think they'd let him. So that's, I mean, it tells you a lot about like the health and safety measures at the time. And
I mean,
but yeah, it's wild.
Even the stories that you hear now about it, like, it's one of the most like toxic.
Yeah. Are you breathing? Get out there. Yeah. They're trying to get better, but yeah, it's still so hard to, you know, get those guys to stop. So yeah, Kerry is now, and the scenes where Kerry was trying to wrestle were really hard to watch for me. The one where his ankle buckles and like you can see where his foot isn't there anymore. Yeah. Oh my yeah, that was rough. And I thought the way that they shot showing him amputated was really interesting too. They showed him getting the crutches and kind of going into the kitchen, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, he's missing a foot. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
That was a really cool way to show that. So right away, I mean, we have two tragedies right off the bat in the first hour, I'd say, this movie, and we're just getting started.
I literally, when that happened, I literally looked down to see the time of this movie, and I was like,
shit,
this movie's half over.
And he has half gone. Yeah. Kevin has a son and decides to not name him Von Erich to try to break the curse. This is another thing that goes through this movie is Kevin trying to break the curse. Thankfully, in the interviews I saw with him in real life in the documentary, he doesn't feel the curse is there. He kind of brushes it off as like something he never really believed in, so that's good. And he feels good about where his family is now. So Kevin has a son. He decides not to name him Von Erich, and then Mike. We see Mike through the movie as like this third wheel, but the brothers keep him in line and keep him. The brothers really treat him like an equal, whereas the dad doesn't. And Kevin brings it up to Doris, and Doris doesn't want to do anything about it. Mike is a really talented artist, musician, guitarist. And then he starts training to be a wrestler once Carrie gets hurt because got to keep the Von Erich name going. You know, this is what we do. Mike began training, got into an accident in the ring. That's true. This happened in Israel, though, not in the U.S. He had surgery on his shoulder, and he ends up getting toxic shock syndrome and goes into a coma. Mike then comes out of the coma with noticeable brain damage. In the movie, they said his temperature reached 107, which is, brain boiling at that point. And then he does a press conference that actually happened that I saw clips of in the documentary. And he does, 100% look like someone who had 107-degree temperature. And he wants to get back in the ring. Or at least he says he does, but there's some pressure from Fritz to go back faster than I think anyone wants him to. And because of that pressure and other things in this movie that they showed, Mike decides to kill himself. And that is also true. Mike did commit suicide in real life. Yeah. Wild couple scenes there with Mike. Again, I thought it was really interesting how they showed the suicide attempt. It was early in the movie. We see him listening to Rush in his room while Carrie's working out, and he seems super into it and upbeat and positive. And then post his brain damage, he tries to play the guitar and can't really do it anymore. And we cut between that and him taking the pills, and they stuck on that scene of him taking the pills a really long time. And I thought that was made more impactful because of that choice of staying on that, where he was like choking down the beer and the pills for as many gulps as it took. And that was they did such a good job of making everything like I cared about these characters so quickly in this movie. And I didn't know honestly much about the Von Erichs before the Iron Claw to me was a different guy's move. And I didn't know the Von Erichs, the ones that made it up. It's the way that they got me to buy into all these characters so quickly was impressive, and it made scenes like this feel so much more impactful.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. All of the brothers, you just end up really caring about.
Yeah.
The dad and the mom, they have their moments, but they're a little more distant than the brothers.
Which plays into their character. I'd agree. Yeah. Makes you, the brothers have to be there for each other as much as they are because no one else is, kind of thing. Kevin starts to distance himself from his family of Pam and the kids after Mike's death. And he trains to fight Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. So there's this montage, classic training montage of Kevin getting ready for this match. Kevin gets DQ'd when he holds his signature Iron Claw move for too long, which was not part of the plan. So not how it's supposed to go. I don't know if that part's true. I didn't really look into that part of it a whole lot. But they go back in the backstage, and it's Carrie and Fritz kind of upset with Kevin and it's Ric Flair being Ric Flair. This is the most Ric Flair I think the character was. You know, hey, let's go get fucked up and find some people to hang out with, and where can I do that here? And Kevin's like, nah, I'm done. And it's like this moment where Kevin checked out of wrestling. I think was a good moment for us to see.
Yeah.
Like he was done. He knew he wanted his moment. He had it, and he didn't find the joy I think he thought he would in it, and he didn't find that satisfaction. I also thought he started to turn against his dad here, which was.
Well, I felt like too. You know, it just goes back to what he said throughout the movie. You know, he loves it because he can do it with his brothers.
Yeah.
Well, now he's lost his brothers at this point. You know, and he's just, you know, most of them anyways, and it just brings him sadness now when he wrestles. And the other thing that I wasn't sure about was so clearly I think they made it clear that he wasn't supposed to get DQ'd like that.
Right.
But what they don't make clear is, was he supposed to win or lose?
Exactly. We don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when Ric Flair comes back and he's like, you know, oh, you're the greatest ever. You know, I love, you know, you can challenge me anytime. So I'm like, was part of why he was so happy because he was supposed to have lost, and then,
right,
you know, and then now he won, so he gets to stay the champion.
Yeah, was he going to drop the title and now he doesn't have to? That's very good point. Yeah. I don't know. I'm guessing they wanted it to put it on Von Erich, so that would make a lot of sense. And that would also make sense why Fritz was so upset afterwards. Carrie, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, it's just out of curiosity. I looked. It says that that match was made up for the movie.
Oh.
Like nothing like that really happened.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. More drama. Dun dun dun. Carrie gets back in the ring in the WWF, now WWE, and becomes Intercontinental Champ. Kevin takes over the promoter business with his wife and kids. Carrie gives Fritz a new gun for Christmas, but Fritz doesn't want to shoot it, and Carrie gets all roid ragey. So yeah, Carrie, we see steroids alluded to throughout the movie. There's needles, and you see injections at some point. And Carrie is super upset, very erratic. He has a new girl that he doesn't really seem to care about. Later on, you find out he's got all this fame and money that we know he doesn't want because he gave up the heavyweight title. The heavyweight title didn't seem to give him content. And then with that in mind, Carrie calls Kevin. It seems like that night. I didn't really get the timing on that, but it seems like it was that night, and he sounds like he's gonna, kill himself. And then Kevin calls his dad and tells him to keep an eye on Carrie, and he kind of blows it off as like, this is between you boys. That was rough. That is a departure from reality. In reality, there is video of like Fritz being very upset and crying when his kids are dead. And the story of getting a phone call is actually about Chris, from what I remember in the documentary. Chris calls him and says he's going to, I think we talked about it earlier. Chris called him and said he was going to do something and then did. And Kevin still kind of regrets not going to him right away. So we see Kevin show up at the house. His dad's working doing something, and that is real. He was pouring concrete at the time in real life when Carrie did this. And Kevin hears a gunshot, finds Carrie next to a tree by the front yard, and he has killed himself. So now Carrie and Kevin chokes out Fritz, almost to the point of killing him in a rage, which justified. I think everyone watching was like, finally, somebody. And then
especially the way they showed the dad. He was kind of, he drove them through like the wrestling, but like all the wrestling stuff aside, at each of his son's deaths, he was like, all right, nobody crying. I don't want to see anybody crying. Sunglasses off.
Yeah.
He's just very unhealthy, toxic masculinity, basically.
Yeah.
And then same thing too, like literally seconds after Carrie's death, and Kevin's, mad, and why didn't you? I told you to look out for him. And the first thing is, his dad seems unaffected. Like movie dad seems unaffected.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're the one he called.
Yeah. Oh
And I'm
God.
like, damn.
What a dagger of a line to deliver to your kid. That's insane. The scene right after this, I thought was like this couple scenes got me really good in the emotional feels. Kevin carries Carrie in. Kevin carries Carrie. Say that 15 times. Carries him into the dining room and lays him on the table. And then we cut to Carrie outside the house that he was just carried in. And he's walking and he looks down, his foot's back. You're like, oh, that's, and then he's in the afterlife. And Carrie rows a boat to see his other brothers. And you see David with the world championship belt. You see Mike with his instruments. You see little Jack Jr. even. And they're all together again. And I think that was a really touching moment for Kevin to experience. I assume that we're experiencing that through Kevin. And I think that was, that part was just so heartwarming. And I think we needed something like that at this point in the movie because it was just dagger, 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 dagger. And that helped to add some closure-ish. Also, like,
bring some levity to the film.
Yeah. There's not a lot of jokes in this one, So Kevin gets out of the business altogether when he sells WCCW to Jerry Jarrett. Doris ends up back into painting and divorces Fritz. Pam is pregnant again, and Kevin shares a great moment with his kids. He does mention this quote in the documentary that he used to have brothers and now he has none. And then his kids come up to him and he's like, "We'll be your brother's dad." And I, as a new dad, bawled my eyes out when I saw it. I was like, God, that's so...
You're the target market.
Oh my God, I just lost it. Yeah. That one got me real good. So yeah, Kevin Von Erich has a nice life, which is true. I mean, Kevin Von Erich lives in Hawaii. He has 4 kids, still married to Pam, 13 grandchildren, and the Von Erichs as a whole were inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame in 2009. So things ended up rightfully so for their recognition, I would say.
And it said in the movie that that his 4 children and 13 grandchildren, they all live with him on his compound, which is what he said he wanted. Yeah,
he wanted all his brothers to live with him. And now his sons are his brothers, and they all live together, which is so cool. Like, they were on the compound during the documentary. He's just like walking around barefoot in the woods, just like climbing trees. And he's like, what, 60? Just living his life, looking great. Yeah, so that's really cool. I think like me and my wife were watching this movie, and we were both just like super depressed after watching this movie. Like, oh my God, what a downer. So we watched the documentary, and it was like, okay, this is what I needed to like. He feels good about his life. He's in a good place. I needed some of that. So the big question, what would you drink with this movie? I put milk.
We didn't do that for the last couple movies.
Nah, we didn't. I put milk because I think these seem like the type of kids that would order milk at a restaurant. Like Kevin seems like the guy that would be like, I'll have a glass of milk. Yeah.
Milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a 35-year-old, milk.
Milk and steak. Different. Overall, though, I really enjoyed this movie. I would recommend people who like wrestling to watch it for sure, who don't like wrestling but like a good story to watch it. Nate is the dissenter. I'll give him his chance. Nate, what would you say to someone who is asking you, should I watch this movie?
I think you can enjoy it. I think if you are into wrestling, then you should definitely watch it. A goose. That was not intentional.
Nate's watching wrestling.
Has nothing to do with my commentary on this movie.
Okay, I'll cut it out.
Yeah, I think if you're a fan of wrestling, it's obviously going to be enjoyable, and I think the acting is really good. I don't know. I didn't super care for the story. But yeah, if you're in any of the target markets, also if you're a new dad, go for it.
Yeah. So it sounded like to me it sounded like some of the drama felt manufactured to you, and it took you out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you telling me that like a lot of it didn't actually match up with reality, which a
docudrama.
I can't think of the word for it. It's not well, there's a word for
biopic.
A biopic. Yeah. A biopic's never going to be 100% realistic, but like there's a lot of drama already happening, and like that they had to like cut things around and change what happened to what characters not even knowing that, but like I'm like, all right, well then, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, acting. It's almost worth it for the acting. Like the reason I was like gung ho about this movie was because of the cast.
Yeah.
And they definitely did knock it out of the park.
100%. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed them. Yeah. Jake, what would you say to someone who says, "Hey, should I watch this movie?"
I'd recommend it to anyone who can appreciate, this sad, it's a very specific type of movie. It's because it's not particularly fast paced. I think it's a good story. But I can understand not liking it. But I agree that it's mostly sold just on the strength of the acting by the main cast of brothers.
I agree.
I've said it like 5 times so far, but Zac Efron just blew me out of the water on this. I did not expect that from him.
Yeah. He was never going to win against Cillian Murphy in any award, but the fact that he wasn't even nominated is travesty to me. Like, this movie got no nominations in the Golden Globes or the Oscars. And I think that's...
Yeah, that seems strange to me.
Insane. I don't know if it was too late or too early or what, but yeah, it's wild to me. Maybe this year they will. Who knows? So yeah, that's Iron Claw. Now we got a movie that's a little bit wrestling based. It's a battle royale game. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you 2 competitors that will be in the ring at one time with a weapon each. You have to tell me who would win in a battle to the death. After you pick a winner, that person moves on to the next person until we will go through all 16 of our competitors, where we will crown the battle royale champion.
MTV Celebrity Deathmatch?
Yes, kind of.
All right.
Yeah. So the first one...
That was a good show.
That was a great show. I love that show.
The only one I remember is Loch Ness versus Bigfoot.
Who won? Do you remember?
I remember they spent the entire episode building up, is this going to be this huge fight?
Yeah.
And then it starts, and Loch Ness immediately cuts Bigfoot in half with his tail. Just whoop, and it lasted like 3 seconds.
I love that. That's great.
I was trying to think if I could remember any, and I can call to memory Owen Wilson's face. They did it. I looked it up. They did a Owen Wilson versus Vince Vaughn.
Oh,
but I remember claymation Owen Wilson.
Wow. Good shot.
Wow.
He kind of just claymation in real life.
He does.
Exactly. It works so well.
He's like one Wes Anderson movie away from being fully claymation at all times. So here are the first 2 combatants in the ring. We have Mike Myers from Halloween with a knife and Beatrix Kiddo from Kill Bill with a katana. Who wins?
I mean, isn't Mike Myers like invincible?
No.
That's my first instinct.
I made sure to
never
pick
seen
people
them.
that have no superpowers this time. I wasn't going to do Luke
he's
versus...
more durable.
Yes, he is more durable.
He's more durable.
But if you cut his head off,
Kiddo.
I mean, you're dead.
Mm.
In that case, I feel like Beatrix wins because I think I've never seen the movies, but I feel like Mike Myers is like lumbering.
He is.
And not skilled, but he kills people because he can't be stopped. Doesn't he like get shot and stabbed and he just keeps going?
Yeah, he gets beat to shit a couple times and keeps going. But I think in this case, he will get killed if he gets a fatal blow. Like, we'll make sure that that's in the rule set.
Well, Ben's declaring that if he gets stabbed with a sword, he'll die.
Yes.
All right, then I guess Beatrice wins.
I agree with that. I think Beatrix Kiddo moves on. So now, who enters the ring is John Wick with anything but a gun versus Beatrix Kiddo with a katana.
I mean, I think John Wick wins.
I do too.
It doesn't matter.
I think his defensive skills are better than Beatrix Kiddo.
Kill Bill is not like a all-out action movie with superhumans. She gets fucked up.
She does get fucked up. Yes, I'll give you that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I think he wins.
Okay.
I think it's probably a good fight.
Yeah, I think if you tell him that Beatrix Kiddo took his dog, she loses in like 5 seconds. Next up is King Leonidas with a spear against John Wick.
Does he have a shield also?
No shield, just spear. I know. I
A
wanted
spear's
to
a
make sure.
hell of a reach, though.
It is.
Does John Wick also get a spear?
Sure.
You said any weapon but a gun.
Yeah, so he'll just match whatever everyone else has. That makes sense. I like that.
All right.
I think Leonidas wins.
Nate?
Oh, I just prefer John Wick.
I think John Wick wins too. I think we have mastered, like, we've evolved as a fighting species.
We're accepting their universe. Yeah, we're like
Leonidas, one, he has the weight and the height
Sure.
over John Wick.
But we've seen
by a
John Wick
lot.
kill beefier dudes.
But not dudes that have been training since they were infants.
Oh, yeah. He's only been chased by assassins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
weak
but
modern
I
day
think that's
assassins with guns.
We're doing
I think assassin v assassin or assassin v soldier, assassin wins out. Like soldier
I do too.
Soldier is not expecting assassin tactics.
Yeah. I mean, if Leonidas is just gonna like funnel him into a little tunnel and then try to kill him, I think he's
Leonidas has got nothing without his bros.
Yeah. Quick, do the turtle shell thing. Oh, I can't. Stab. This one will be interesting. John Wick with nunchucks versus Bruce Lee with nunchucks. Who wins? About to piss.
I mean, Leonidas clears both, for the record.
No shot.
Well, you know what's funny? If we go down to nunchucks, then I think Leonidas probably beats John Wick too. He's got to get in closer with that.
Bruce Lee versus John Wick with nunchucks each. Who wins?
I think nunchucks is a very high skill weapon, and I think Bruce Lee is pretty much considered a master of them.
I'd agree.
I think John Wick can probably use them competently.
I think I'm not some John Wick fanboy, but I'm pretty sure the conceit of John Wick in the John Wick universe is that he's a master at every weapon.
That's why I gave him this pairing.
I still want to give it to him, particularly because of nunchucks to Bruce Lee. But like,
that was a big fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm going Bruce Lee. I think Bruce Lee wins.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Sorry, Nate. Next up to fight Bruce Lee.
I agree.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm so used to you disagreeing this episode.
I'm a huge fan of Bruce Lee.
Yeah, actually, Bruce Lee's storyline doesn't make sense to me. So Bruce Lee has nunchucks, and now who enters the ring? Black Widow with batons. I googled it because I've never seen the movie, so I didn't know what to give her.
What?
I don't know, some batons or some shit. She can't have a gun.
Those little electrified batons.
Yeah, those ones.
I mean, I think so far she's the weakest one out of the entire royale.
Just you wait. So we're going Bruce.
Well, I mean, again, if we're going in universe rules, her power seems to scale with whoever she's fighting. So, she's just however skilled she needs to be to win a fight.
See, I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like she's exactly as skilled as she needs to be to put up a good fight and still lose.
So she'll put up a valiant effort. Like, she'll beat the books as far as like over under on rounds, but that's about it. Okay, all right, fair. Have you guys seen No Country for Old Men?
No.
All right. Well, Anton Chigurh is up next. He's the guy that kills people in that movie. He uses the thing that they kill cows with, where it like shoots a metal rod into your brain and then sucks it back out. Yeah. So Anton Chigurh with a cow killer against Bruce Lee with nunchucks. Who wins?
I feel like the cow killer is like, is he fighting with this thing in the movie, or is he just like murdering people with it?
Oh, he murders people with, like, a cop shows up and he just goes pink and kills them.
But like, he's not like getting into a fight, like a skilled fight with this weapon. Because I feel like this is a hard weapon to.
Does Bruce Lee know that it's a cow killer and what it does?
Yes. Bruce Lee
is he gonna let him approach him with a strange device anyway? He's had to kill 5 people so far.
What is that, an oxygen tank? Not sure what's going on here yet.
Are you my relief? Just let them walk up.
It's tag team. There is a tag team.
I don't think you're getting in the range of those nunchucks.
If anyone knows massages, Jake, it's Bruce Lee. All right, it's in his blood. Acupuncture.
Wow.
Another massage. Was that not funny? I thought that was funny. You ever been to a mall? So Anton Chigurh dies, probably. Sounds like. Yep. Okay. Next up is Jason Bourne with a book against Bruce Lee with nunchucks. I just remember that scene in Jason Bourne when there's like 100 cuts in one scene and he kills somebody with a book. I like that movie.
Does he get to take advantage of the cuts?
Yes. Yes.
I think Bruce Lee probably did a lot of continuous fight scenes.
He did.
He's not. He's like, where are you coming from?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
does that mean Jason Bourne beats Bruce Lee?
I mean, I want to say no on principle.
Same.
I think no. I think if he had like a real weapon, it might be a fight. But
yeah. I
not
don't
with
want to
the book.
I don't want to give him too much of a chance. Okay.
I just don't want Matt Damon to beat Bruce Lee.
No. Brad Pitt already did.
Not Matt Damon.
Yeah, it was Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got it.
Okay.
Matt Damon.
Yeah, I don't want Matt Damon to beat Bruce Lee.
Matt Damon. Next into the ring is Jack Sparrow with a sword. Nate, I think you're the Caribbean expert. Where are you going on this one?
Am I?
I've seen 2 of them.
Okay. Well, shit, I've seen 3. Damn it. Well, the third one's where shit gets real super. Well, I guess the first one's supernatural,
Yeah.
but like the third one, Jack Sparrow's becoming like Loki, the trickster god.
Nope.
So
Just
he's
him drunk with a
if
sword.
fair enough. No, Johnny Depp's never beat anyone in a fight.
All right. Not even Amber Heard.
I know. I was so going to go for that joke.
Allegedly. Actually, not even. No, he didn't. It was acquitted. So. All right, that's 2 cuts of jokes in this round.
Oh, we know you're not cutting them out,
No.
so we just enjoy being silent.
Yes.
Next up is Wesley, from Princess Bride, with a sword
Oh.
against Bruce Lee with nunchucks. This dude took out Andre the Giant, so
I'm sad we didn't let it go to Jack Sparrow, so we could just have a sword fight. But
and a wit fight.
ooh,
I think kind of in universe, Wesley doesn't lose.
Yeah, I tried to watch this movie. I made a half hour and I had to quit. It just didn't get me.
what?
I know.
What?
I wasn't really paying attention. I was doing other stuff at the same time.
That movie's genuinely like, it's one of those movies that everybody likes.
I know. That's why
It's
I was
a
like,
classic.
I need to watch this at another time when I'm not doing other stuff. So we're saying.
Did
Wesley?
you wait?
Wait.
I can't remember what a half hour gets you to. I just gotta know.
He just beat everybody and like
interrupt
is
this whole
sitting
game.
at the desk across from the lady. He just beat Andre the Giant. He did the poison thing. He did the sword fight.
You're not into it after that. You
Yeah,
might just not enjoy
That's
that
so
movie.
weird.
I know. I was like in and out of it. I didn't really know what was happening. I was like, okay.
If anything, it kind of slows down after that,
Okay.
but it's still
Yeah.
like really good. But to me, the peak part of that movie is that sequence of him going through all the guys.
Yeah, I was like, this is too quick. It's like Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, where you're just like, oh, it's just over now. Okay, cool. Anyway,
I thought you were gonna say Bubba Batman.
if only.
Tim Burton's Batman, though.
Oh, we'll get to that later. So Wesley with a sword or Bruce Lee with
How
nunchucks?
long is this?
16.
We're gonna get to Tim Burton's Batman.
It's 16. We're not gonna get to Tim Burton's
All right.
Batman.
All right. Okay, that was my concern.
Yeah.
Go on.
So who's
Say
winning?
this matchup for like the 4th time.
I think
I
Bruce
haven't
Lee
listened
finally
once.
falls here.
I think so too.
Oh, I agree.
Wesley with the sword. Okay, next up. The 2 guys who break into the house in Home Alone each get 1 trap from the movie against Wesley with a sword.
Wesley's thing is he kinetically doesn't lose. Their thing is they kinetically don't win.
Isn't it a fun matchup?
They were destroyed by a child.
Yeah, and the traps, they're gonna fall for their own traps, especially against Wesley.
It's true.
Wile E. Coyote style.
Ooh. They paint the wall and then Wesley runs through it and then they hit a wall and it's bricks. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so the Home Alone guys are out. I figured that would happen. Next up is Tyler Durden with just a bar of soap. Not explosives. A bar of soap.
Who?
Tyler Durden.
Tyler Durden is not like a historically successful fighter.
He made Fight Club.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he fought a bunch of suburban dads.
Yeah, well, who's Wesley? But a suburban dad.
Well, I mean, the fact, okay, suburban dad with a sword is gonna beat suburban dad
With a bar soap.
with a bar.
The
of
best
soap.
you can give Tyler Durden is he's a terrorist,
Ooh.
but I still think Wesley wins.
Yeah. So we're going
Yeah,
Wesley.
that's
Okay. Next up is Robert Pattinson's Batman with one batarang.
Mm.
and how much plan are they thrown into a fight, or does he have time to investigate?
Nope, thrown into a fight. But his entrance music is that sad Nirvana song, so it might pump him up.
Is it?
I don't care
Can
enough to
we do
remember
it
this
all
movie,
film
so-
noir style?
Yeah, it's raining also,
Oh,
and they're in a subway, and the lights can go off and on. I'm really stacking the deck here.
you're desperate.
Yeah,
I think
don't
you
wanna
have
give
to,
you
and
satisfaction.
it still doesn't
because the
matter.
next one's funnier if Robert Pattinson wins.
I think Wesley still takes it.
Okay, Nate, you feel the same?
Yeah, suck it, Ben.
That's fine. Next up is Batfleck. Ben Affleck's Batman, but his weapon is saying the word Martha one time.
You're
Who
so
wins?
dumb.
Who wins?
Here's the problem. Batfleck has like military body armor.
Sure
on.
does. How are you going to beat
I don't
that,
remember what
sword boy?
Pattinson has. Yeah, really, like, I don't think his sword cuts through that shit.
But can Batfleck get over himself and kill somebody?
Mm-hmm.
He was the only one that really killed anybody, I think, of the Batmans.
So yes.
So yeah, he's probably over it. So we're going with
It's like, I don't
Batfleck
like killing, but I will do it
I'll
a
do it.
lot.
for my mom.
If he's still got his, like
He does.
his claws on, okay, then that's a weapon enough
Okay. And the word Martha.
to disarm a sword.
Don't sleep on Martha.
Don't underestimate.
Yeah. Saved him. It
It'd
saved
be
his life
Superman. Yeah.
once. Okay, so we're going Batfleck. Moving on over Wesley. Hate to hear it. Next up, either of the two guys from RRR with a sword or a baton.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're actual superheroes.
Uh-huh.
yeah, RRR guys.
Okay. And this one I think is the last one. So this is to decide the champ. Is it going to be either of the RRR guys with a sword or a baton, or Aragorn with his sword? Yeah. That's right. Jake will give you all the time you need. Because this is your wheelhouse.
Do the math. Submit an answer next week.
I think Aragorn would beat any mortal sword fighter.
So Wesley's out.
But yes,
Yeah.
but I agree with Nate. The RRR guys are superheroes.
Okay.
So I'd still give it to them. They literally are
I didn't see
superhuman.
Aragorn like literally spinning and like throwing armies of guys away.
Yeah.
But he could have.
We don't know
What
that.
if he okay, he gets his sword, but he also gets one throw of Gimli towards these people with his axe. Is that
Well,
intense?
that's 2-on-1 at that point.
All right. Just no, he gets to throw his axe, and then he's out. He's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a single shot.
I think the pair from RRR could take the entire fellowship
Oh,
minus Gandalf.
Yeah,
Damn.
I agree.
Well, I mean, who do we really got? Like,
Legolas.
they got to take out Legolas, and then
You
the
probably have
hobbits don't
Legolas,
count.
Aragorn, and Gimli.
Hold on. How did you
Yeah.
pronounce Legolas?
Legolas.
Legolas is probably the best way to pronounce that.
I've always said Legolas.
He's got legs.
It's preferred to say it that way so people don't confuse you for Legolas the elf.
Legolas the elf. No, that's Bill. Bill's back there. He's Legolas the elf. Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, it's Legolas, it's Sam, it's Frodo, and then the twins that can't stop eating. So, like, what are they gonna do? Gimli?
They're not twins.
Merry and Pippin?
No.
Nope.
Aren't they twins?
They're not related. No.
They're not related even?
They are. I thought they're cousins.
They are
In the way that hobbits are kind of like the Eric cousin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're like kissing cousins.
Merry and Pippin are the two largest hobbits that ever existed.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Are they taller than Chris Von Erich?
No.
Good to know. Rip Chris Von Erich and all hobbits.
They're also only the tallest hobbits ever because they drank the Ent draft that made them grow some number of inches.
Interesting.
All right, fucking nerd.
That'll be another TikTok. That's it for our episode, everybody. I want to thank you all for listening, and I'd like to thank my guests for joining us, Nate and Jake. Thanks as always. If you are new here, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Be sure to leave a review if you do this on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching us, hi. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a review, comment on the YouTube channel. What movie should we talk about next? You can find us on youtube.com/@RumandCinema, and you can check out our shorts at Rum and Cinema on TikTok. Now we get to the recommendations. Jake, do you have something for the people to watch this week?
Let's see. I watched the new Netflix Avatar live action, Last Airbender. It's good. It's good enough to watch. It's better than the Avatar: The Last Airbender fandom would have you think it is.
Okay.
So it's not like One Piece is amazing. Everyone should watch One Piece. Avatar live action, it's pretty good. I think it does justice to the series. And yeah, so I give it a recommendation, but it's not like the greatest thing ever. It's just good.
Fair enough. I like that. Better than bad.
I'm so curious.
Better what?
I haven't watched it yet.
Better than bad, yeah.
I haven't watched it yet, and I'm curious where I'm going to land specifically, because what I've heard from like a bunch of the fandom is the bending's really great. It really does do justice to the overall story. They like combine stuff in a good way and show some really great moments. But they said the writing of the dialogue writing is just horrible.
Ew.
I wouldn't say horrible. It's definitely probably the weakness of the show.
Like they show the clip of the grandma on the Southern Water Tribe reciting the intro to the movie.
Yeah, that's
and it's like cringeworthy to watch.
That was pretty. I remember that when I was watching it. I was like, "Oh God."
Yeah, we're gonna do an experiment soon because Taylor's never watched it. Like any.
Okay.
I tried to get her into the cartoon, but it's too cartoony, and so I'm gonna see how she reacts to it and see how I react to it.
That's a lot of the people from the fandom who say, "Oh, they changed this," and that's and I'm like, you have to get that it's no longer I don't know how many episode long cartoon, So they're gonna condense stuff. And it's not a cartoon. It still has a lot of that Avatar world in it, but it is live action now. So,
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's what they nailed was building the world of it.
Nice.
So
that's good. So you can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, I'd be excited for season 2 for sure.
You know who's really good at writing dialogue? M. Night Shyamalan. Anyway, Nate, what do you have to recommend for the people?
We haven't seen a lot. I was trying to think of what I've watched recently. I have a kind of recommendation. With
he's gonna say
Cat
Madam
Person.
Web.
Oh. Cat Person, it's interesting. It's what is it about?
Let's ask the person who's seen it.
Well, I'm trying to think of like how I would describe this movie. Like,
so
because
the blurb, it's from Hulu. The blurb says a college student who works at a movie theater goes on an awkward date with an older man who may be a murderer.
Yeah, that's the pitch, and it's like it's not quite that. But
you didn't like Iron Claw. Okay.
It's really interesting. It's about like a lot of it to me was about like a woman's experience dating a man.
Hmm.
Also, the man is cousin Greg, which is pretty great.
Oh, hell yeah.
I should have led with that.
Yeah.
But it's really weird. A lot of it is like, you know, he's acting kind of strange, and she doesn't like. The might be a murderer is really like overselling it there. Like he's being like, a lot of it is interpreting his actions, like whether he's being just like an idiot or a creepy dude, or if he's like threatening her.
So is it like
And it's
do you remember the intro of that movie with Skarsgård and the lady where they go down into the basement and then they just keep going? It's like the intro to that for like 2 hours.
it's like 90 minutes of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Cool.
Yeah, and it's really interesting.
Okay.
We left feeling weird, but like it was interesting to watch.
Nice. It's a good recommendation. That's
Yeah.
on Hulu. I'm going to
Yeah.
recommend now on Apple TV Plus streaming Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese, Lily Gladstone, I think her name is, and Leo DiCaprio and others, Jesse Plemons, John Lithgow, Brendan Fraser. Another downer. Holy cows, it's a downer. But it's 3.5 hours and it's long, and it needed to be that long for you to really like understand what happened to those people in that time. It was I would say a well done movie. I loved the soundtrack, and the sound design was so good. I listen to the I rarely listen to music soundtracks that are not songs, like jukebox soundtracks. This is all like made for the movie. Really well done. It's like this mixture of like native music and like white people music, and like it's cool the way they did it. The movie's hardcore. The acting is solid. It's a little slow at times, but it had to be. I feel like when you're done, you're like, I needed all that information. So yeah, that was a interesting watch. Don't look up anything about what happened to those people before the movie, and then look up a lot about what happened afterwards is how I'd go into it. Much like when I watched Watchmen, because the American public school system sucks at teaching when white people do bad things, I didn't know about like the Tulsa massacres to like all the people that were doing well in Tulsa that were African American. And this is similar for Native Americans in the similar time. They even mention the Tulsa attacks during the movie. So just like that, I feel like it was kind of an important story to be told, since it's one that we're not told a lot. And yeah, they did a good job with it. So Killers of the Flower Moon for another upper for your watching. But yeah, that's our episode. We want to thank you once again for listening, watching, however you get us. We appreciate you, and we hope you have a good day. Enjoy your rum. Enjoy your cinema. We'll see you next time.